Hang on, Maverick. Ah! Hello everyone, Richard Carlton here. Welcome to another day where my camera at the moment is not working, but that's okay. We are going to show you my nice, pretty screen today. It's kind of a different broadcast today. We are broadcasting from Santa Clara. I will fix my screen momentarily. Meanwhile, we are going to welcome Nick from BaseElements. It's very exciting to have Nick here. Nick is an awesome guy. He is basically the CEO and creator of Goya. And Goya does all sorts of really cool tools. They have a diagnostic application for the FileMaker platform that works very, very well with, basically all versions of FileMaker. And what it allows you to do is do some really amazing things like find references, things like this. RCC, my team, we buy this product, we use it. We desperately need products like this. And so we invited him here today. Nick, if you want to unmute yourself, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, Nick is here. Yeah, Nick is here. So what we've arranged for everyone to do today is we're going to look at the BaseElements diagnostic tool, or whatever Nick calls it, because Nick has two products that conveniently use the word BaseElements in the product name. And so it always confuses everyone. Nick, just so you understand, we have a wide variety of people here today. Some of the people are very beginners and some of them are very advanced, so it makes it always a challenge to try to include everyone. Yep. But why don't you take a swing at this? Today is going to be on the diagnostic tool, the BaseElements, the paid tool that I buy. Tomorrow is on the BaseElements plugin, which is another free thing. So you guys, I know how many people love free, free. So yes. All right, well, go ahead and start off. What is this tool and why do we care about it, right?
So the idea for BaseElements started with a solution I was working on once. I wanted to find something in my FileMaker database. And as you know, there's no nice little neat search within FileMaker. You can't search within a script or within a table, or you can't find a place that you're using something in a calculation somewhere spread out over 1,000 different layouts. So FileMaker at that point, and this is going back quite a while now, version 6 and 7, that old. And FileMaker has had since then and still has the DDR, the database design report. So you can run that yourself, tools, database design report, and that generates XML and HTML. If you've ever run that, it's useful. The HTML version pops up in a little browser and thing. It can be really quite nice, but it has a whole bunch of limitations. One is again, it's HTML and it's tricky, but it also has things where it doesn't link between files. So there's stuff that's just missing in it. So I wouldn't recommend you use that HTML report for anything other than sort of just quick glances at things. So BaseElements was the end result of that. And what I wanted was something that was a FileMaker solution that I could search. So this is an analysis I've done in BaseElements. So I've generated that database design report in XML, and I've imported it into BaseElements. And now I've got lists of everything that's in my solution. There's 750 custom functions in this solution, 108 uses of a plugin, there's 88 tables, and that gives us 17,000 fields. This is a really cool solution to demo BaseElements with, because this is actually what happens when you give 100 staff all complete full access to do whatever they want in the database.
You say that with a straight face, right? But that was a giant joke for anyone who waited a joke. It's actually not a joke. It's one of those it's like a joke, but it's not a joke because it's real life. It's perfect.
I got invited to this client because they said, "Oh, look, we've got some troubles with our FileMaker database. It's crashing a lot." And I went, "Oh, geez, yeah."
Yeah, of course, right? So, yeah. So, Nick, did you show them how they could... I was behind my computer plugging stuff in. The camera works now. Did you show them under Tools how you kick out that DDR? Did you show that at all? Or
so I didn't step through it all, but I can if you want.
Well, I would just show more...
design report.
Yeah, just show them because some people have never heard of this. So let me back up just a second. So if you're open FileMaker Pro... and then you'll never see this tools menu unless you open FileMaker, and on the Mac you have to go to preferences, right? Yep, and he already knows where I'm going. And you got to turn this on, and then you have to quit and reopen FileMaker. Then you get the tools menu, which is really, it's worth its weight in gold. It's really quite good. And what happens is that you you get this report that it can kick out, and it kicks out this report, and then BaseElements, the product that you're going to buy, reads that report, right? Makes sense. And so the idea is that you read the report. So it reads the report, which is really great, and then it kicks out this information. And really, you're looking for areas where there's problems, or if you're on a layout, you don't know if it's used anymore. A lot of times, I just try to find abandoned stuff that no one's using, and then I delete it, right? But yeah, I didn't mean to intervene, but we got some Bunny. We call it Bunny, right? So Bunny is one of our watchers. It's literally his name, right? There, you're processing it right there. And so what happens is we got some brand new people. So the idea of Bunny is that as you become more of a established FileMaker developer, you're going to run into situations where you're building and building and building. And what Nick is saying is that not only are you building, but you've got 100 other people building on this one file and building their own reports, doing this and doing that. And it creates a giant mess. And so BaseElements is useful to clean up your own mess, or if 100 of your best friends or coworkers create a mess, you can help clean it up there too. So that's why this is so cool, because otherwise you would never know this. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so this is what it generates. When you do that save step as XML, you get these files. Now, obviously, you're not generating BaseElements as a solution. This would be all the different files in your solution. So these would be if you've got 4 files. If you've only got one, there'd only just be one. And the summary is the thing that we import. So when we click on import, that asks you to select the file, and you go away and import that. And that brings it in. And then once it's finished processing, you end up on this screen. And the idea behind BaseElements, you can write a really simple solution that you can keep track of in your head, one layout, a couple of fields, and a few calculations in a script. But the moment it gets sort of beyond, 1 or 2 layouts or, a couple of different scripts, you think, okay, well, I've got to change something somewhere. How do I go about doing that? And that's when BaseElements really comes in. So first of all, you can think, if this is, the thing about BaseElements is, I said at the start, you want this to be a FileMaker solution. So for example, I'm going to click here, and this is going to take me to all 17,000 fields. So this is a list of every field in my solution. So when I've worked with massive data sets in FileMaker, I do lots of things where I take advantage of things like putting up new windows or keeping list views and then switching to a different layout, things like that. So if I want to search for different fields that are a different type, I've got my list here. I can just do Command F for find, and I can put in the text of what I want to thing. This field has the word text in the name. So I hit search. Oh, yep, okay, no worries. There was one of these free text ones. So then I have a look at that, costings 2006. And that's the field I'm after. What is it? It's just a standard number field, normal. It's not global. Where's it being used? It's
Okay. Yeah, you're going about 5,000 miles an hour. This is the piece that I use, right, all the time. This is the part. I don't do a lot with it, but I want to know if I'm on a layout, if there's a button on the layout, a field that's defined, a relationship somewhere. I want to know what calls that. So if I delete it or I have to change it or something, what might I break is the question, right? And so when you check out the reference by, that's what's going on here. And it's a very, very powerful. And a lot of times you get a little warning that says, you have a warning for that if it's not being used. It's like on the list somewhere. Nick, don't you have like a warning that says, warning, this isn't being used? Yeah.
Yep. And it's also in the list view. So
yeah.
When we switch to list view here, this U box, which you'll learn as well, unreferenced, has a check there to say this one is unused. So this field here is text box 3. It's not used anywhere in this solution at all, and that field can probably be deleted. That means it's not on any layouts. It's not used in any scripts. It doesn't appear in other calculations. It's not in the privilege sets. None of that sort of thing. So none of these boxes where you talk about. I picked the wrong one there. But none of these places here that things can be used, that one exists. So I'll jump back to the start, because as well as being a FileMaker file, I showed you this screen at the start and I didn't really explain what it is. So what's going on here is that we have, once it figures out what's in your solution and we have all these counts and we can go and look within our solution and do what we want to do, it also picks up places where there's errors, so things that are broken in your solution. So you created this layout with a whole bunch of fields on it, and then you deleted one of the fields, and now we've got errors in our layout objects. So you can see exactly what these are. Again, you click on these, and we've got a script step that's doing set field, but the field is missing. table's missing. It's gone.
Yep.
We've got another one here where we've got a calculation in a field, in a table, and the table's still there, so the trust ledger from Airbook's copy is still there, but the field that it's referencing is missing. So we can see straight away where there's things that are broken in my solution. It's one of the things I love. If I'm working on a solution that I really care about, that I want to make sure it's good quality, that everything works exactly as it should, I make sure these numbers go down to 0.
Yeah.
So I look at what's going on here, and I check to make sure things are correct in them and they aren't making mistakes somewhere else. So again, have it here, this field has an error, it's in the auto enter, I can have a look at that, and there's a lookup, and there's a field missing in the lookup. So I can go straight in and I can go, hang on, does that need to have a lookup? And the lookup's a really quirky one that, and I don't know, I think it might have changed recently, but in previous versions of FileMaker, the auto enter lookup dialog that pops up when you set it, if the field was missing, it didn't use to display it. So there were certain criteria you could get where you could have this error and you can't see it, but it's actually missing a field there. So either you've set something, either you've intended it to be a lookup, or perhaps it doesn't need to be a lookup. Obviously, it's not doing the lookup now, so it's not working. So if you need it to do something, then you need to actually go through and fix that and have a look at it. So that's errors.
Can I inject here? So real quick, so the strategy with this tool is like when we do starting point, we will periodically, although I don't think we've done the last month or two, but we will periodically go through and do an errors analysis to find all the errors. And what happens is that you are working in this file on screen in here, and then over here you'll be actually or on another computer with another monitor. If you've seen me, I have got computers left and right. So I might have BaseElements running on this computer, and then on this computer I'm doing my development and this, that, and the other thing. But you're going to make some edits, you're going to make these changes, then you're going to run your DDR again, and you create another round and you re-import it again. So if you go here back to the first screen somewhere, you have like the versions of the solution. Nick, where is that at when you look at that?
So this one that I was looking at is travel code.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're saying. There's a great example in here. So this is, everything that I've imported. There's different versions of different solutions. So I do a lot of different imports to try and change things. Now, if you have a look at this one, for example, this E-Strength player. So I started with this version of the solution. It has 10,000 items in it and 114 errors. And I was doing a cleanup on this solution.
Yep.
So I'm getting rid of things. It was built by someone else. It has a whole bunch of stuff in it that doesn't need to be there. So this is was a combined administrator and end user file. And what I wanted to do was turn it into just an end user file. So I'm doing iterations of this and just stripping out all of that administration stuff because it doesn't need to be there. So you can see over time, this is from oldest tier to newest tier. As I work through this count of elements, I'm getting rid of stuff. This count of elements goes down. The count of errors goes down. These other ones, which I didn't quite get to yet, but this green one is unreferenced, so things that aren't being used can be deleted.
Okay. Green is unreferenced, and what is orange? What is that?
Orange is warnings, and the purple ones are performance issues. So I'll get to those as well. But yeah, you can see that history over time of this one evolving as I do things to it. Other ones have different approaches. So I looked at this one. This was a different version of that same file. And what I did at the start was go through and clean up a bunch of things here. And at some point between this one and this one, I've broken another 9 things. So I'll give you an example here of how we can look at what that is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this one, but I'm going to hold down the Option key, because when I click on it and hold down Option key, it pops it up in a new window for me, so I can keep my background space.
We do that in starting point too. We do that too. Holding the Option key, it's a great thing. We check and modify and we pop a new window.
So these are my 3 errors before, 3 errors in objects, and you can see straight away just from the count, something I've done in getting rid of one of these layouts. I've gone from 62 to 46. Has got rid of one of those errors, but I've added 10 script step errors. So I can look at those and go, what have I done here? Go to layout unknown. So I can say, hang on, I've deleted a layout that I shouldn't have, perhaps. So I can then have a look in this one and say, well, where is this? This is a go to layout script step. What's the script? It's called script set flag and position 94. Okay, so let's go into my old version. Remember, this is my old version, still has all that in it. So I can go into scripts and I can do a find, and I can type set flag. Now this is going to find across all my solutions because of what I've got set up. If I jumped into this one, for example, I could look at step 94. If I pick the right one, if I could pick the right one out of that massive list of scripts, Experts Trainer, Pro Trainer. No, I don't know which one it is. I've got too many versions, and there's a quirk here in what I'm doing here. So I'm doing this demo in the dev version. In the active user one, it limits you to a single solution at a time. So if I'm in this eStrength Pro and I go and do a find, it will show me just eStrength Pro Trainer when I do the find. So it uses privilege sets to limit me to one solution at a time. You can turn that off, but it makes it really handy. I need to focus just on this one solution. So I could go in and find that step 94, and I could figure out which layout that is. I've deleted, one of these probably is what it is. Either go to layout phone summary or go to layout iPad summary. It'll be one of those. And the issue with it, which one is it I've deleted? Actually, I was getting rid of these iPad ones. So the iPad ones are the admin ones that are going. And so I've got this script step in here where I haven't cleaned this up, which will be what that issue is. So that's why I've added a couple of errors. No worries. I can go in, delete these particular script steps that I don't need, and that error, those 10 errors will go away. So I can use that to find out exactly where the issues are that I've added in. These extra 10 things, I can now go find in my solution. These are in our eStrength Pro CSV file. They're all script steps. This is the name of the parent, and this is the position. And it prefixes these with script because you can have steps that are from menu items, and you can have steps that are from, what's the other one? I can't even think where it's used. Menu items and triggers and buttons, sorry, of course, buttons on layouts. So go back to our solution that we were looking at, our test one, travel code. So I said before, red is errors, so those are things that you can go and fix, clean up, but green is things that are unreferenced. So for example, out of those 17,000 fields, there's nearly 3,000 of them that just aren't being used at all in this solution. So some of these things will be, automatically created things. Every table gets one of those, some globals here that aren't being used, various bits and pieces. So these almost certainly can be deleted.
Michael Gravel from Montreal says, you get all this information from the FileMaker DDR, ?
Yes. Yep. And we do a lot of post-processing as well. So I'll show you a few more things that we do in terms of post-processing as well at the end. But essentially, yeah, all of this comes from the DDR. And there's another question too, and I'll speak to that a bit later, about the new XML that FileMaker's got. So the other things, these are warnings. Now, warnings are things that are not necessarily errors, but maybe things that you've done unintentionally. So, for example, relationships is a great one. So a warning on a relationship is something where you've got a mismatch in the field types. So relationship joint fields don't have the same field type. Now, quite often that's intentional. I don't know if everyone knows, in FileMaker, you can put text on one side and any type of other field on layout, could be a date field or a number field, anything like that. And then on this side of the relationship, you can have a list of dates, for example, and then you can do a go to relationship and it will pick up all the related values that match any one of those dates in the list. So it can be something that's intentional. But in this case, something may be that you've got this set up that you're looking at this in a portal, you've just added the portal, and all of a sudden you go to browse mode and there's no records showing. And you're like, why is that? What the hell's going on? Why aren't, the fields are right, I've got all my data right, I'm not doing any filtering. And it turns out you've got a mismatch in the types. So when the FileMaker treats these two different types, it treats them differently, and things may not go quite right because you've got that mismatch in relationships. In privilege sets, for example, here for warnings, our alert here, One or more fields are set to modifiable in the field access restrictions, but the privilege set does not allow create or edit, so the field can't be modified. So there's probably a reason there why you set that to be modifiable. In other words, you wanted the user to be able to modify it, but the privilege set as a total doesn't actually let you do it. So do you need to change the privilege set? Do you need to reconsider what's going on? So those are the types of things that warnings are. They're things that, hey, do you need to know about this? Is there something going on in this solution here? Are you sure? Do you want to just double check that you've got everything right? And finally, performance things. So performance comes up a lot more lately. It does come up in themes and styles, but this solution being version 8.5, that was another thing I didn't mention before. This DDR was run out of FileMaker 8.5, and BaseElements 19 will import it just fine. So even though this is 19, you don't need to be working in FileMaker 19 to use BaseElements 19. As long as you can run FileMaker 17 or later, which is what BaseElements 19 requires, you can run this, and any DDR all the way back to V7 you can import.
But Nick, there's a new XML import, right? And it's so shiny and pretty. Can't we use that?
So that's a great question, yes. The new XML. So we know if you've seen this again, this comes up, save a copy as XML. And this is what FileMaker is internally using for some of their new whiz-bang functionality in the latest versions of FileMaker, where you can have these add-ons. And the add-ons are written in XML. And there's this cool thing where they just take that XML and they basically slurp it into FileMaker, and it creates a whole bunch of things automatically for you, script steps, layout, objects, all sorts of bits and pieces. And this new format XML, which is different from the database design report, is what they use for that. However, this new format XML doesn't have everything we need to do the database design report, and doesn't have everything we need. So in a calculation, for example, here, if I jump into any particular one of these, let's find one. Yeah, okay. So this uses two different items. The two items are a custom function called Mac and a custom function called Win. There's others. If I could find one that was complicated, I can't. But this detail that comes out, for example, here, variables, custom function, set property. So set property, custom function, variable there. That detail isn't in the new XML. So this would be empty. I could tell what the calculation is, but I could not tell what it's used in it. So the idea, I mean, I've spoken to people at FileMaker about this. When they talk about this new XML format, what they say is this is new. It's not yet a replacement for the DDR. And they've got all these plans, and obviously these plans are around these add-ons in the short term, but at the moment it's not a replacement for the DDR. However, I can see some really cool stuff that we could be doing with this as this new XML format evolves, because the new XML does a few things in terms of layouts. It doesn't have any more detail. It just gives every layout object its own unique UUID. So that means that you can look at two different versions and just say this object moved from here to here. At the moment I can't, because I don't know whether you deleted an object and recreated one. So in the future, I could do things like, hey, take these two versions of your solution and do a diff on them, which I can do now, and I'll show you that as well. But then I could take that diff, produce an XML patch file, and you could patch the old version and bring it up to the new version using the new XML structures. So it doesn't actually matter what BaseElements uses, whether it's the DDR or the new XML or even a combination of the both. What FileMaker is doing with this new XML structure gives us a few opportunities, but the new XML structure isn't quite there yet. They've given us examples of the patch tool, but it works for adds and deletes and not for modifications yet, and there's no documentation about how to write your own XML. So yeah, that sort of stuff will come.
Yeah, so just to reemphasize here, so FileMaker Pro for a long time has been able to export this DDR report in an XML format. So Claris Engineering has this new format of XML. So there's really two kinds of XML that come out. The new one is still, I want to say, very alpha-y. It's not even a really officially a shipping product. They call it pre-release. Some pre-release products are pretty baked and good to go. Other pre-release products are undocumented and kind of sketchy. This falls into the undocumented, sketchy side of things. I'm glad Claris is doing it. I do receive emails from people going, Richard, where's the training on this? And I'm like, here's the rule. Once again, reminder on the training. If it's not been documented by Claris, like officially, like where they wrote instructions down, we're not going to produce training on it because it's not official. It's not final. And what Nick is saying is that they're going to have to modify it to make it really awesome. And Nick kind of slid through this really fast. If you're a very seasoned developer, you caught what he was saying. But like, let me bunny eyes the conversation for you. The idea with BaseElements and with this new XML coming out, not available yet, but maybe 6 months or a year, whenever this happens, is that you take an old version of your file, you take a new version of your file, and you do a comparison. Nick says really rapidly, he says diff really fast. He's doing a comparison. He's finding the difference between the two, and it generates a very specific list, an XML list of the differences between the two. If you knew the difference between the new one that you had, new application that you were shipping, and the old one, and you could compare the two and get the diff really quick, you could build a patch application, right? And then run that.
I'll bump in there and show you, because BaseElements does do reports. One of the reports it does is a change report. So let me see if I can find. I think.
So you call it change report here? So that's a diff. A diff is a change report.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So this is a change report. So these are, for example, before and afters. So this is, and you'll have to excuse me, I've been fiddling and working with reports and changing a few bits and pieces here. But this is old and new versions, and I need to sort on this, so I don't have the right details showing. But essentially, these are changes. Green is new items. There's a summary option here that's not showing up in my dev version as I work on these things. And these are things that have changed between two different versions.
Okay, stop. So we're gonna give you a pass on that. The current shipping product, everyone, is BaseElements 18. What is this up here? It's a new super duper version. So if you do buy his product and you get the annual release, you're going to get this one for free as part of your annual subscription, right? Remember, we have that third off coupon, right? So I'm just helping. He's over here actually testing and fixing things on the new version we're going to get, which is awesome. So that's why this is happening. So
yeah. These are things that are deleted in the solution, and these are things that are changed. So you can look at these and say, okay, what happened before? This was the old value, this is the new value. And it's actually picking out different things that have altered between the different solutions. So this base table, for example, changed for this particular field. It changed from patient to telehealth booking. So imagine you could take all of these changes into your old version, things that have been deleted, things that have changed, the relationship has changed on these particular things. Imagine you could change and you could create an automatic patch. So in a solution where you work offline, so my client has their solution, it's up on their FileMaker server, they're working, they're putting their data in it, doing all their work. You can be doing development offline, and then you can say, okay, I need to know exactly what's different between my version where I've been developing and the client's version. And then you could create your patch and say, okay, all my changes that I've been working on, yep, no, right, now push them to the new file. So that's the potential of it. The diff here is already the starting point. So things were deleted, things were changed, all that sort of thing. And this patch is the hopeful future of what they're doing with the XML. The beauty of this comes in also other situations, like, for example, where you've got a client that's got full access to their solution, and they come in and say to you, this thing's broken, you need to fix it. Why is this thing breaking? And then you run the DDR, and then you do a diff, and then you say, well, actually someone else has gone in and changed this and deleted a field or modified a calculation. And you can say, this is why this is broken, because, this is what happened to it. Someone went and deleted something that they shouldn't have. So in that sense, it can be really, really valuable there. So that's the diff. That's one of the reports that's in there. So I said right at the start that this is a FileMaker file. So you can do things in it that you do in FileMaker. So a great example, I was doing a demo live at DevCon one time and asked if anyone had any questions. This, I think, was around the FileMaker 9 days because they'd introduced at that stage a new feature, the Quick Find. So all of a sudden, people who just all they did was upgrade their FileMaker Pro from 8 to 9 suddenly had this Quick Find option in their toolbar. And I'll demo that as well for you in a sec. But they had that there, and then all of a sudden they needed to know which fields on their layout had Quick Find turned on. So how do you find that out? They said if I've got any unstored calculations on the layout that have got Quick Find turned on, they're going to be really slow. So if the user is searching across all these unstored fields, that will be slow. I don't want them to be able to do that. So how do I find all of those? Now, when you think about a FileMaker file, you can also think in terms of hierarchies. You have a solution that has files. Files have tables. The tables have fields, and then the fields are used in places. So you can follow that hierarchy. So I can click here are 17,000 fields. So this is my list of everything that's a field in this solution. I can right-click in this particular field and go constrain found set. So now I've gone from 17,000 to 5,000. So there are 5,000 calculated fields in this layout. Now the storage isn't on the list view, but it's in here. Store calculation results true. So again, I can go Command F for find and pick false, and then go request constrain found set. So that is all the 3,000 unstored calculation fields across this entire solution. So then I can look at where are these used. Some of these aren't used in any layouts at all. I can pick one that's used in reference by. I can pick one that's used on some layout. So this one, for example, is on 4 different layouts. Now, my issue though is that I've got 3,000 fields. I can't click through all of these, but I can go view as list for these, and that will take me to, if I hold down Option key, that will take me to the list of just the 4 places that these exist on layouts. But I have this other option. If you know in the go to related record script step, there's a couple of extra checkboxes in there. One is using this current record, or one is go to related record using found set. So there is the option, as well as holding down Option to do a new window, you can hold down Shift to do go to related record using found set. So in other words, what that will do, it will take me to all of the layout objects for all of the 3,000 fields. So I'm going to do that and click on it. It's slow because there's a few, but it'll only take a couple of seconds. So in other words, those 3,000 fields exist on 8,000 layout objects. And again, I don't want to see that. I want to know which particular layouts they are. So here's the link that takes me back to this layout for that layout object. And again, I hold down Shift and click on that. And there's my list, 844 layouts that have unstored calculations. So it's both using that thing of hierarchy in FileMaker, knowing, well, fields have certain types, fields exist as layout objects, and then the layout objects exist on layouts. And as well as that, using things that we know in FileMaker, putting up new windows, Control F for find, constraining found set, all those sorts of things. But I can then go, okay, these are all the layouts that I need to go through and adjust my adjust my quick find. I wouldn't like to do that job, 844 layouts, but I could keep this list here. I can work my way through. I can mark things if I want. I've got the ability to add notes. I can put details on these sorts of things. And this is a checkbox. I can keep track of things and mark them as fixed if I like as well.
Okay.
So, really handy.
We have a couple questions here, and then the people are thanking you for getting up early in the morning. They want to thank you. Scott on Discord is asking, does BaseElements have to be used on the local machine only?
No, so it's just FileMaker File, so you can put that up on FileMaker Server. And the advantage of running it on FileMaker Server, obviously you can have it shared and lots of people can access it. But it also has an option to do the import server side. So this one isn't, so I can't show it to you. But the server side import means it just does a sort of basic processing of the XML and then stores them in container fields. and then just goes away and starts working. So you can be back in here and looking at things, obviously not in the solution that's still importing, but in your other solutions that you've got, while the server using perform script on servers doing your data import for you.
Yeah, we've done training classes here on PSOS, so his solution is server aware and PSOS happy, so it offloads. Because when you first do the dump out of your system, it's got to do the DDR export, which is one thing, but then it has to read it into BaseElements, has to read it in, and then really chew it apart to make it useful. And that chewing, I never wait more than 5 or 10 minutes, but I guess some people could have a really ugly solution that takes hours. I guess. How long does it really take?
This is a really ugly solution. That took 21 minutes. But if we have a look at some of these other ones, that one I was talking about, that I was sort of evolving different versions of that. So in the most recent one of that, this is 11 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, I think starting point takes...
That's a reasonable size.
Starting point on a local machine takes maybe 2 or 3, 4 minutes, whatever. It's, to get up and get a new, refresh your Diet Coke or something, and then you come back, it's ready.
If there's anything that you have in your solution that you want to ask it, essentially, find all the container fields that are using open storage. So this particular one won't be useful because open storage didn't exist in that version. But yeah, so I could go into fields. I could find. Let's have a look. Let's have a look on the list and go data type is, I think it calls it binary. Yep. So there's binary fields here. If I could jump towards the end here, so purchase order, and this is secure encryption. So this is a secure thing, so I could go constraint bound set, and so there's 42 fields here using secure external encryption on those container fields. So you can do anything that you think about asking, find all the script steps that are using a particular plugin, anything that you can ask it can tell you. So details here where it's using plugins, for example. There's some Troy file, there's some older ones here, FMSAUC, I don't know what that is, Troy dialog, there's some MBS and some SMTP. So you can tell exactly which places those are being used. These particular ones, it's used on a layout object and in a script stack. So anything like that particular buttons that are using conditional formatting, places using tooltips, for example, and then you can find links to things. So you can find all the button objects that are calling a particular script step, calling a particular script. So if you're looking at that script, you can then find all of the button objects that do that. Find all the script steps that use a certain field, all of those sorts of things. And then beyond that as well, just telling you about your solution. BaseElements also sort of introduces a whole bunch of different things that are sort of or even more like metadata. So as well as these things like unreferenced and errors, we have some other things in here in terms of statistics. For example, this solution has these different functionalities turned on. So shared clients, so there are 523 accounts with shared clients,
wow.
But there's 82 accounts that have XML sharing turned on. I don't reckon that client even knew they had XML sharing turned on, or that they needed those 82 users to have that privilege enabled, because I didn't think that. I was surprised when I saw that, because I don't think they knew that that was the thing that was happening. So for example, being able to jump in here and say, how many people have access to this in different ways, the data API, the PHP, URLs, or WebDirect. That could be really handy to be able to figure out what's going on in your solution. There's some other stuff in here. Which files are my biggest files? So these costing files are the largest ones. If I want to look at, some issues there, I could look at those particular files and see, is there anything I can do there? These are the tables that have the most records. These are the script steps I use the most. And these are the most common errors that I'm picking up. So I've got scripts missing all over the place that I need to then go in and look at. So that's sort of almost a bit like metadata, things about the solution. So here as well, you've got compatibility. So this tells you everything that this particular script is compatible with, because obviously a select Windows step isn't compatible with server or custom web publishing, for example. as well as that here, I'm looking at this script and I want to know what this perform script step does. I hit my little plus button and it expands for me and shows me what's going on here. So I can then look at and see the detail of this within the one script.
I got a question.
So
Is that plus button in 18 or is that a 19 thing? I missed
That's
it.
in 18. Yeah.
Okay, I missed it. I just haven't seen it. Sorry, my bad.
Yep. And then finally, I'm looking at this script and I go, oh, hang on, I need some of this detail. This is the script that I accidentally deleted out of my solution. I can hit copy, and now I've got a copy of this script on the clipboard, and I can go into ScriptMaker here and pick a script and then hit paste and paste this exact script back into my solution. So anything in FileMaker that you can copy and paste, which is custom functions, tables, so an entire table with a list of fields and everything and all the calculations, fields by themselves, scripts, individual script steps, and I think even value lists these days, so they can be copied out of one FileMaker solution and into another, but they can also be copied out of BaseElements. And so I can take, for example, a bunch of custom functions, an individual custom function I can copy. But if I wanted to copy those 754 custom functions, I hit copy here. I'm not going to do that because I don't need 754 of them on my clipboard, but I could copy them and then paste them back into my solution. So that's really handy. You've got, over time, you build up this history of the things that you're doing in different versions of this solution. I can then go back to an old one at some point here and go, hang on, I deleted something I really needed back here in this one. So I can go to my previous version, into that, find the thing that I accidentally deleted, copy it, and paste it back in again. So as well as being a really cool little, process to do my day-to-day, this is also a really cool archive to be able to know what happened in my solution a long time ago. So that's cool. 3 little things. I hope I distracted you there, Richard.
No, it's absolutely great. I love the feature. There's various conversations going on. Scott says the copy script is a great feature of a way of borrow from another solution. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Nathan Schneider says, is there anything you can talk about the clip server? Explain about the clip server. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Do you know what a clip server is?
So in here, you can keep track of clips in your solution. So if I copy something, I can paste. So say I'm in my solution. It's a solution I haven't even put into BaseElements, but I'm working in something, and I copy something to the clipboard. So it's a script, for example. I can go into BaseElements. Doesn't matter where I am, and I can do paste XML to clips. So as you can see, I copied that script before. So now I've got this clip here as XML that I can keep. So I can, and this list of clips, these local clips, are things that I can keep. So, it might be a collection of custom functions that I use a lot, or my starter template for a script. I lay out my scripts with certain script steps at the start. So I can keep these here. And this is separate. This clip manager is separate from all of my solutions, and it exists over time. So even if I get a new version of BaseElements, this clip server detail, this clip history detail is kept in a preferences file. So I've always got access to this no matter what I'm doing. So this is a great way to store things that you use on a regular basis, or store things that you use for other things. The BE clip server, and there's a file you can download off the website that essentially says, I want to be able to share these clips amongst myself and other people, or keep a server-side copy of them. So you can then put that clip server file up on FileMaker server, set an account and password, and then that will keep these in sync whenever you come into the clip server part here. So I can look at for example, across a large group of people, have a shared access of clip snippets, whatever it happens to be, that we share and use. And these can be, you can even pick out layout objects, for example. So it will do a little
can you search clips? Someone asked if, can you search clips? Search in clips. Can you search in clips?
Yeah, this is just a FileMaker table. So yeah, Command F for find. Yeah, you can search whatever you want.
Yeah, TK, it's just Command F, goofball. He's one of the ones that's been triggering me. So yeah, no, it's actually when you get base elements. I think I stumbled on this the other day. It's actually unlocked. Is that a true statement? Kind of unlocked or really unlocked? Because you can like edit the layout or something.
Yeah, it's certainly, you can edit the layout, you can add your own scripts. This data file here has, so everything that you get in terms of the data, it ends up in this data file. And this is not, I'm not doing special things here, this is what you've got access. These are all the things in here, these are all the tables that we're using. You can link to this data file from another file. So you can reference the tables in this data file from outside of base elements if you want. And you can modify in the UI file, you can modify layouts and do whatever you want to do. So yeah. So I was just going to show there that when I copied that object, which is a portal object from base elements, and I pasted it in my clip server, it has a little JPEG preview as well. Because when you set the clipboard, it actually sets two different types. One is all the XML, so this is all the XML to generate that portal, but also it does a little mini JPEG preview version of it. So objects as well.
Yeah, people love this. So yeah, they're saying they love the clip server.
The beauty of all that is that tracks over time, and we're using people, if they observe it, may have noticed there's this fourth file here, base elements pref 19. Which actually goes into your preferences folder. So we're using, there's a feature that came about, I think it was 16-ish, where you can use a variable for a external data source. So it doesn't have to have a fixed path. So we're using that feature to put a little FileMaker file in your prefs folder, and that stores those clips and also stores things like your recents and favorites as well. So even if you keep different copies of base elements, so what lots of people do is they have like one copy of base elements for each client or for each project that they're working on, which is absolutely fine. Or a new version comes out and you start from scratch, you archive your history, it will remember the things that you've done recently. So yeah, there's lots of different things there you can track, and it will know exactly what you are working in.
Final comments for us, Nick Orr.
No, that's all good. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. There's these developer tools. You do realize once you start using them, you realize, and not just mine. There's other developer tools around, but I like mine obviously. You realize how much that FileMaker doesn't, things that FileMaker doesn't let you do just by the nature of the product. And these developer tools make you a better developer, I think. So you should be using one. You should go and find one that you like and use it.
It's about being able to, in my opinion, visually navigate to logical parts. So you go to the file, you find the layout, and then you look for the references and how many is that file layout being used anywhere? Oh no, I can delete it, so it's out of here. That's what I use it for all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So I use it in a very limited way. There's obviously Nick is a much more established coder than I am, but I want to say thank you to him for coming and showing this. All right, we're going to catch Nick tomorrow. Appreciate everyone. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left. Ramadol reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.